Mr. Jawando, good to see you this morning.
Good morning. Good to be with you, Larry.
The big news out of Maryland right now, Senator Ben Cardin telling the world, and especially his constituents in Maryland, that he will not run for re-election. Your thoughts on that?
Well, 57 years in elected office, and just no one has done more for Maryland, for working families, for this country in the United States Senate than Ben Cardin. His legacy of achievement, of care, of concern, of just getting the work done. Just a few weeks ago delivered $40 million this year for the state of Maryland. He has done that year after year, and so we're all thankful. We've benefited from it, certainly us at the local elected level. He's just been a champion, a foreign relations statesman. He's represented our country well, and he served Baltimore, he served in Annapolis, and he served in the Congress, and we're just thankful for it. But he deserves to have time with Myrna and his family as he transitions. And he's still got a year and a half left. I know he's got a lot to do, and he's got a lot of energy to do it.
Yeah, but that also creates an opportunity for the next generation to step up and to fill that void. Where do you stand in all of this?
Well, you know, I'm very excited and humbled to be announcing that today I will be running for the United States Senate in the state of Maryland. As I go around the state, in Montgomery County, where I represent more than 1 million people, people are really hanging on by a thread. It's tough to make it. The pandemic hurt, but even before that, they're questioning, can our democracy deliver on the promise of America? You have people that are pushing what I call the big lie, that if my neighbor does well, I have to do worse, and I just reject that. I think we can all have shared prosperity, and we can do it and model it here in Maryland. We've done a lot in Montgomery County. I was proud to launch the first guaranteed income program in the state, where we're helping 300 families with over $800 a month meet their basic needs. I've led criminal justice reform efforts that were later modeled at the state level. I've made housing more affordable. We stabilized rents during the pandemic, and we're trying to do it permanently. People want these types of real solutions so that they can actually get ahead, and that's what's at stake, I think, in this election. Particularly coming after Senator Cardin, we need someone in the Senate who can deliver on those things.
Well, the situation on Capitol Hill is one that's tense.
Yeah.
It's rather divided, highly divisive. Where do you think where you come in all of this? How does your experience in Montgomery County prepare you for the challenges that you will see potentially on Capitol Hill?
Yeah, well, we've gotten big things done in this state and in Montgomery County, as I mentioned. Criminal justice reform, food hubs, started the largest ever job training program, passed things that were controversial, like rent stabilization. You can talk to people in a real way. You know, I worked on Capitol Hill as a staffer for Senator Obama and Senator Sherrod Brown and Nancy Pelosi and in the Obama White House. I have the skill set, both at the federal and local level, to deliver for Marylanders. Again, and I think it's about pushing back against this lie that's being perpetuated by some, that if my neighbor gets something, that I have to get something less. And I think that is dominating the discussion right now in Washington. But I think a new set of leaders with fresh ideas, with a bold vision that we can have shared prosperity, that's what we need in the Senate. Particularly, that's a body where things often go to die. And how do we push that and get over that hump? I think that's what this election will be about in 2024 broadly, and certainly here in Maryland.
When we talk with voters about the issues that matter to them, a couple of things come up. Inflation, abortion, safety.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on those three issues?
Yeah, inflation's real. It connects to what I said. How do we actually make it? Marylanders are concerned. How do I pay my bills? How do I get my kid to school? How do I afford gas? Those pocketbook issues that are impacting them. We have to provide a baseline of support, whether it's childcare. We need a national childcare program. We need to support educational outcomes as our kids' math and reading scores are dropping. We need to make sure that we protect a woman's right to choose. In Maryland, we've taken that step with our governor. We are a safe state. We can continue to do that and push that across the country. That's a big issue. Gun safety. You know, I lost one of my best friends to gun violence when I was a teenager. It has a dramatic impact on my life. We have to make sure that we're securing guns safely and responsibly and passing even more meaningful reform. These are all things that we've done here in Maryland that we need to do nationally, and I think the voters are expecting and calling us to do it.
I want to get to the issue of guns. How do you balance the safety component with not infringing on people's Second Amendment rights?
Well, look, I'm a lawyer, and the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. We did it here in Maryland. We have one of the safest and most strictest forms of gun control and gun safety laws in the nation. You can do it. You can balance that. You can have a gun that's responsible for hunting or fishing or even sport use, but make sure it's locked up. Make sure there's locks on it. Make sure it's secured. Make sure, just like when you have a driver's license to drive a car, you have to have a training and have to know how to use a gun. Red flag laws, mental health supports broadly for our society. There are things that you can do to limit these mass shootings, and other countries have done them. So it's not that we can't do these things. Do we have the political will? Do we have the leaders that can push them and motivate and build the coalitions to get it done?
You talked about inflation. I mean, folks are getting hit just about everywhere in the economy right now. At the grocery store, at the gas station, pretty much everywhere they turn, I mean, they're paying more and more. You're dealing with potentially would be dealing with a Senate, again, that's deeply divided, especially on the issue of the economy, right?
Yeah.
Democrats, Republicans see it very differently. How do you bridge that sort of consensus that will be necessary to get bills and legislation passed?
Well, look, the Senate and Congress, it's about relationships. It's about being able to connect with someone on a real level. No matter who you are, what side of the aisle, we all want our families to do well. We want a bit of the American dream that was promised to either, like my father who came from Nigeria in 1970, fleeing a civil war in Nigeria, like my mother's great-great-grandparents who came from present-day Czech Republic fleeing persecution. Everyone came here for opportunity. And everyone wants their kids to do well. They want them to get a good education. They want to be able to retire with dignity. They want to have a great school. They want to have safety in their communities. These are things we all want. The question is, how do you connect on the personal level with senators, with the people to get those solutions across the finish line? I've seen it done. I've worked in the Senate. I've worked here in Montgomery County. We can do it. But we have to push back against this false narrative that says if someone makes progress, someone else has to not make progress. And I think that's the real core problem right now. Now, will it be hard? Of course it will be hard. Will we do it overnight? Absolutely not. But I think a big step is having a new generation of leaders who are trying to solve the real problems Marylanders are facing and Americans are facing. Those pocketbook issues, safety, schools. That's what people want. And if you have solutions to figure that out, I think people will hear that and they'll want to work with you on it.
You talked a lot about building coalitions. What are you going to do to try to get those moderates, even conservatives, on board to your campaign to say, hey, this is the guy that we want on Capitol Hill?
Well, look, I have a bold progressive vision, but I do it with my arms wide open, right? There's no solution that we don't come to together. And if I have an idea and someone else has an idea, I'm going to talk to them about it in a real way because we're trying to achieve the same thing. Safety, prosperity, opportunity for them and their families and all Marylanders and all Americans. And I think if you approach the conversation that way, one-on-one, through discussions like this, people will see that. They'll know, they'll say, hey, this guy really wants to solve some problems in a real way. And I want to engage with him on them. That doesn't mean I'm going to agree with everything he says. Look, I don't agree with my wife on everything, but we can have a conversation about how to move the state and the country forward in a real way. And that's how I'm going to approach this campaign.
We'll give you the final word. Anything else that you want to add about what we can expect from you, your campaign over the next few months, as well as what you see for the state and the country?
Well, I'm really excited. You know, we are at a critical moment. This 2024 election will be an important election from the presidential all the way down. We need to have leaders in the Congress, in the Senate in particular, that are going to push a bold progressive vision that pushes back against that lie and says that we can all have a shared prosperity. That is possible, and America is a place that it can happen. And we're going to be talking to Marylanders across the state. Obviously, very proud of my voters and relatives and friends here in Montgomery County, but we're going to go all across the state and bring that message to them. I would ask anyone who wants to join to visit willjawando.com and engage with us. We want to hear from you. We have a year to do this primary, and we have solutions here in Maryland that we can take across the country, and that's what I'm going to be focused on.
All right. Well, Jawando, good luck to you, sir. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Larry. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.